what's happening in Syria. Okay, now this article came on yesterday, but it was not in the newspaper. Today also a Syrian article has come. It is written by the same author, Stanley Johnley, who covers international relations and sometimes security news also on The Hindu. So we have taken this, and I'll make you understand what is currently happening in Syria and why it is so important. Okay, so this is the one which has come in today's newspaper. You can also go through this one also. So Syria's renewed conflict and changing dynamics. So Syria, for the last couple of years, things looked stable there. There were rebels out there and there were Kurds forces also. And so the major problems, what has happened in Syria, there are multiple groups and multiple groups are supported by multiple government. Like Bashar al-Assad, whose regime is supported by Russia, Iran, Iraq and all these countries, and similarly some other rebels or groups have been supported by America and European countries. So Syria has basically become a hodgepodge where every country or superpower behind it or a mega power behind it or a country with better weapons behind it trying to find their own area around it. So Syria, which saw a relative calm in civil war since 2016, it was more or less calm, though the most of the parts of the country were destroyed, but now it has plunged back into conflict after Islamists launched a surprise offensive last week. So from Aleppo they have started, or the focus is toward capturing important cities, and now their focus is to get towards Damascus. Damascus is the capital of Syria, and if they are able to do that, that would be a direct threat, or that would be directly questioning that if Bashar al-Assad he has any power in Syria left or not. So militants have made significant territorial gains, gaining the seizing of the city Aleppo, which came as a surprise, and it was now advancing into Hama. Now the point is that they were able to get Aleppo within weeks. Okay, within weeks they were able to get, and rebels, now these rebel forces have been backed by Turkey. Turkey is supporting it. Now the question is this rebel forces group which we'll talk about it, the terrorist who is handling it or terrorist who is moving this group, he is a US designated terrorist. First problem. But Turkey is a part of NATO, and so if it is a part of NATO and it is supporting this group, there has to be some kind of support which might be coming from America. So there is something which is going behind the action. Once we reach the map, we'll also talk about that. So how has Syria control map changed in the week? What has happened? So in 2015, Assad regime was the brink of the collapse, controlling only Damascus and Alawite dominated coastal areas. So Assad regime was falling. At that point of time, Iran came and Russia came, and because of that support, his regime was able to stand back. So while various faction groups were like Islamic State came in Syria, then Al-Nusra came in Syria, IS came in Syria, and Free Syrian Army FSA held regions. So these splinter groups or these terror groups had also come, which included Free Syrian Army, Al-Nusra, Islamic State, and at this point of time, Bashar al-Assad, his regime was falling, and at that point of time, Iran came. Hezbollah came. Iran and its all proxy groups, it can be Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi, all these groups supported Bashar al-Assad, and Russia also supported. They did a lot of bombings, and eventually the government of the Russian intervention was able to help Assad forces backed by Iran, Hezbollah to recapture key territories such as Aleppo in 2016. Now he has lost Aleppo again to these rebels, and that is what the major problem is coming. Okay, and that is what the major problem is coming. By 2016, war had entered a frozen stage, Idlib remaining under militant control. Last week, militants from Idlib launched an offensive quickly and seizing Aleppo suburbs and the city itself. We'll come to the map, you'll understand. The militants have doubled their territorial controls less than a week and are advancing towards Hama and controlled by Kurdish rebels in northeast. So if you see map, this will help you better. Let's go to map. So if you see this area, if you see Aleppo, and behind Aleppo, let me see if, okay. Now this is a better map. So terrorists were, or rather I should say rebels already had this area, Idlib. Okay, this which is backed by Turkey. Now they have been able to capture Aleppo within weeks. Now they are moving towards Hama, then they are moving towards Homs, and eventually under Homs there would be your Damascus also. So there, this area. So Damascus is the capital of Syria. Now rebels are again rising, and again whenever these rebels rise, this is the time even the terror groups are rising. I spoke to you, I told you yesterday also that Syrian crisis, again ISIS is trying to grow. And in Sahel region of Africa also, Burkina Faso and all this area, here also ISIS is trying to go, because whenever these kind of rebel groups, they start to grow, a vacuum is created with the administration, or the government is not able to work. And when there is no government, no administration, this is the correct vacuum for the terror groups to grow. Now this rebel groups which we are talking about, it was in Idlib, it went to Aleppo, they have taken over. Now they are moving to Hama, then they are moving to Homs, and eventually they want to take Damascus. If they are able to take all these areas, this would be a huge failure, and would direct question the hegemony or the regime power of Bashar al-Assad. Can he control it? And that is why now Russia and Iran need to focus on it. Now you also need to realize what is happening. Russia-Ukraine war is happening, and currently Russia is decimating Ukraine like anything, okay? And Ukraine is losing territory, many parts of the territory, and even with the ATACMS, the long-range missiles which have been given to Ukraine by the Americans, 300 kilometers. 300 kilometers, not a great range. They still are not able to tackle Russia. Russia is bombarding Ukraine like anything with hundreds of missiles and drones, anything. So in this war, Russia-Ukraine, right now it looks like Russia is on the edge. Now, since Russia is winning that part, and everybody knows when Donald Trump comes to power on 20th of January 2025, he will talk about ceasefire. At this point of time, when ceasefire happens, Russia is not willing to give any territory. Most probably this will happen, and if Ukraine is able to occupy more land, then there can be switch of lands. That say Ukraine say I have one city and Russia says I have 5 cities. So Ukraine say I will give back Russia your 1 city, but you give me back my 3 or 4 cities. So this kind of quid pro quo or barter system can happen. But this is only possible if Ukraine is able to get more territory. Right now Ukraine is not able to move ahead of Kursk because the North Korean forces have come, Houthis have come, and Russians have deployed more than 12,000, 13,000, 14,000 forces with hypersonic and other missiles. They are also firing, inter-range ballistic missile they are firing. So these kind of weapons they are using. Now to remove the focus of Russia from Russia-Ukraine force, because entire machinery and armaments of Russia are right now focused on the Russia-Ukraine war, and Iran is also focused on the Israel. Now it is important for America or Turkey or any other country that it is important that Russia, which is right now Russia-Ukraine war, it is winning, that their focus goes from here and focus comes here, and their resources, because Russia has multiple bases in Syria. They have invested billions of dollars for these bases so that they control Syria and they control Middle East. Now if Russia start losing these bases, it would be creating havoc for them in the Middle East, because they had invested, they have contacts. That is why Russia's attention from Ukraine might move towards it, and that can give some leverage to Ukraine to win the war against, or at least get more territories towards Russia-Ukraine. So this is the geopolitical game which is going on. America will never say that they are backing these rebels, because if they say it, because this is a terror group. So Turkey is backing, but Turkey is a NATO member, and Turkey being a NATO member cannot do something on its own, specifically when it has the backing of the Americans. So this is the bigger geopolitical game which is going on, that why suddenly this has happened. Okay. So the terror group name or the rebel group name is HTS, that is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, and this group was also earlier associated with Al-Qaeda. It was earlier also associated with Al-Qaeda. Hopefully now you understood what is happening. So led by Bashar al-Assad, backed by Russia, Iran, Shia militants from Iraq, hold strong. So these are different groups which are in the Syria, so that you understand. Syrian regime, this is led by Bashar al-Assad. They have been backed by Russia, Iran, and Shia militants from Iraq, hold strongholds in Damascus, coastal region and minority populated areas. Then you have SDF. SDF has decent relationship with the Syrian regime. It's an umbrella group including People's Protection Unit and Syria's Kurdistan region, maintains a truce. So decent relation means that they have a ceasefire truce with the regime focusing on Islamic State remnants. So they are focusing on IS remnants and to eliminate them. So SDF and Syrian regime, they are kind of on a truce, and now this is the major group problem which is creating it. This is that HTF I am talking about. And when you talk about this person Abu Muhammad Julani, so on media someone says it's Julani, Gulani, so anything can be its name. So the main anti-regime forces controlling Idlib, this is where the major problem is coming. This is the rebellious group. It is led by Abu Muhammad al-Julani, evolved from al-Nusra and aims to overthrow Assad. So it evolved from al-Nusra. So it was initially part of Al-Qaeda's Syrian branch, al-Nusra. So Al-Qaeda's Syrian branch was known as Al-Nusra. It used to be part of it. But now this person has categorically told that I don't have anything to do with Al-Qaeda, because he knows if he says then anything to do with Al-Qaeda, then the Americans will come. So very smart statements he is giving. So backed by the Turkey-aligned Syrian National Army. And he also says this HTS has also allowed Christians to follow their rights. So he is saying that we are very open-minded militant group, or they don't say militant group, we are rebel group, that we have allowed Christians to do their holy duties and everything. So why is he saying that? So that Europeans and Americans keep backing him behind the camera, if not in front of it. Okay. So it is led by Abu Muhammad al-Julani, US designated terrorist and former lieutenant of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. So he used to be earlier working with ISIS. Abu al-Bakr Baghdadi, he was killed by US. Please remember, the statement had come from Trump at that Baghdadi is dead. That is what Trump in his first presidency had said. Now he was the lieutenant of that time. Now he might be getting support from America or not, which we don't know. But it looks like Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was related to ISIS. So initially he was part of Al-Qaeda's Syrian branch, which was Al-Qaeda's Syrian branch, that is Al-Nusra. Julani broke away from the autonomous militant group. HTS consolidated power in Idlib, creating parallel state. Once he was able to get Idlib, then he went to Aleppo. From Aleppo, he is going to Hama, Homs, and eventually focus is to get Damascus. HTS retains the Islamist ideology. It has distant influence from Al-Qaeda, declared primary fight against Assad, not the US. Now, these are very important statements. He says that I don't have any fight against the Americans. I am away from Al-Qaeda. My fight is towards Assad. And when he's saying my fight is against Assad, Assad is supported by Iran and Russia. Now, in the current context, if you see Americans have a problem with Russia, Israelis also have a problem with Iran. And Russians have also been supplying arms to Israelis' enemies. So, in this context, from one arrow of this group, the Americans are trying to shoot multiple enemies. This can be a geopolitical, thought process, which is obviously not in the front of the camera, but we can see this, why this is happening, because Turkey cannot support these groups like anything because it is a NATO member. So there is some, conspiracy behind it. So why did militants launch an attack now? Because very simple, Russia is preoccupied. I've already told you they are busy with the Ukraine war, focus is there. So they might not be able to focus here. Though Russians have started, they are bombing the Idlib like anything, where the this HTS group is primarily there. Iran's Quds forces were commanded by Qasem Soleimani, which was again assassinated. And now since Qasem Soleimani is not there, these Quds forces are not strong. They have weakened, and that is why this rebel group is trying to occupy area. Hezbollah, we already know now, Hezbollah has been asked as per the ceasefire that they need to move north of the Litani River, and Hezbollah is not as strong what it used to be after the recent bombardments of Israel. So it looks like a very global plan, and a plan which was being made how Israel will decimate Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, and now this battle is starting in Syria. So it looks like a very big game plan which is there. First we will demolish these Hezbollah and everyone, then we'll start these rebels, and the focus of Russia might shift here. So again, it looks like a big geopolitical war strategy is behind this. Okay, so vulnerability of the region is there. Russia, Iran, Hezbollah regime troops became vulnerable. Militants backed by Turkey exploited this weakness to rapid advances. Strategic opportunity. HTS saw a chance to expand territorial control amid the region's weak defenses. This is what we have already discussed this. Vulnerability of the region. Now the only question is that vulnerability of the region has been deliberately made or it was just a chance. And when you talk about geopolitics and international relations, it's never a chance. It is always there is someone behind it. And even what happened in Bangladesh, some had put that question that Americans are behind that. They might be, Democrats might be behind it. But Trump coming on 20th January might change things. So is the regime in danger? Yes, definitely the loss of Aleppo poses a question, and not weeks, 4 days. I beg your pardon, I had said in weeks they have occupied. Rather, I meant with the preparation and everything. When the advances started, they were able to occupy Aleppo. So rebels have entered Hama, then they're moving towards home, and then the focus is Damascus. Assad regime, which deeply rooted in coastal region and minority groups, now faces a full-blown civil war. So from 2016, which we had seen some kind of stability in Syria, it is again being questioned mark. Okay, so rest we have done. So reinforcement from Iraqi militants like, yes, Katabi, Hezbollah and other organizations have joined the battle, but Hezbollah is not that as strong as it used to be. So again, a lot of resources from Iran and Russia would be put against this to fight it. So this way, US may be kind of winning this. So HTN, its lies sense of opportunity to consolidate gains. Assad forces are regrouping with external support, setback indicator long, and a war is there which might be imminent, and a civil war will start, and again Syria can get into this crisis. Many terror groups can again emerge. So not at all good news coming from Middle East. And please say Syria is sharing borders. It's very near to Israel. So it's not even a good news, because the ripple effect of terror groups does not fall on that country. It can be on other countries as well. Thank you for watching this video. For complete video, please watch Daily Decodes, and the link to that video is given in the description. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. And do press the bell icon for all the updates.